The village in it with a map and a plan. No place too tiny for this determined man. Crossing the counties one by one, you'll see in every English corner a bit of history.
Welcome back to Rushcliffe, everybody. The hat has finally disappeared because the sun is now at its highest and it's a glorious day. Unfortunately for me though, this is actually the last one I'm doing on this particular day. Everything you're going to see beyond this is going to be tomorrow, and apparently it's going to rain tomorrow, so I'm going to make the most of this while I can. Now this is a nice little place, lovely place. It's not going to take me very long to walk around. It's between Colston Bassett and Cotgrave, and its name is Owthorpe. Owthorpe, Oofy's farm. Today we come to Owthorpe, another of Rushcliffe's tiny villages on the Nottinghamshire wolds. It's not far from Cotgrave, and as such its population of around 100 people is usually included within the figures for its much larger neighbour. Owthorpe lies in an area between the Roman road, Foss Way, or as we know it today, the A46, and the Grantham Canal. The latter runs through the southern reaches of its boundaries and passes under two bridges. It has no major amenities other than its church and village hall. For the rest, most of the residents go to Cotgrave. Owthorpe appears in the Domesday Book as Obertorp in the ancient hundred of Bingham. Its origin may be outlying farmstead or hamlet of a man called Ufy or Ufa, that is to say, an old Scandinavian or Old English personal name, plus the widespread Danelaw element, Thorpe, meaning hamlet. At the time of Domesday, the Lord and Tenant-in-Chief was Geoffrey Alcelin. Landmarks are few, but there used to be a large manor house here. It no longer stands because it burned to the ground in the 1820s. It was the seat of the Hutchinson family. One famous member of that family was John Hutchinson, the parliamentarian army officer and regicide. We'll be talking a bit about them in this episode, so if you share the surname, this will be of interest to you. This one won't take us long. It's very similar to Titheby, a clustered rural hamlet around a church. So, let's get walking and see what it's like. It was a beautiful day for it. We start with a drive around the southern portion of the parish. Now you might think this drive is nothing more than just a couple of country lanes, but you'd be wrong. They pass over the Grantham Canal, and there are bridges. The thing is, they're not the easiest things to see, because they're nothing like what they were originally. The canal had some 69 original bridges along its length. 23 of them were wooden swing bridges, but none of them remain today. These bridges were once focal points, with approaches that provided a place to sit and dangle your feet in the water, or even dive. Many of the canal's humpback bridges have been replaced with flat bridges over the years, creating an obstacle for any future navigation. In Owthorpe, two former humpbackers have been replaced. They are Mackley's Bridge and Wild's Bridge. Today, both are little more than just a flat crossing. The Grantham Canal Restoration Group has been working towards the reopening of the canal as a recreational and commercial waterway. It seems a little unlikely, given the removal of the bridges, that this section of the canal will ever reopen. Now we're in Owthorpe Village, a sleepy little hamlet which consists of a cluster of houses and cottages, all within touching distance of a church and a village hall. There are no shops here, nor any major amenities. It's always been small, but there used to be a manor house to go with it. Owthorpe was the home of the Hutchinson family, the most famous member of which was John Hutchinson. At the outbreak of the Civil War in 1642, his defiant stand in preventing the king's men from seizing the county's store of gunpowder effectively secured him the governorship of Nottingham Castle. His wife was Lucy Hutchinson, a biographer and poet, and the first person to translate the complete text of Lucretius's De Rerum Natura, or On the Nature of Things, into English. Lucy also wrote the epic poem Order and Disorder, which follows the book of Genesis, and a biography of her husband, which was reprinted in 2010. The Hutchinson family owned the village and were highly respected by its inhabitants. The children's historical novel, Uncivil War, Twin Tales of Nottinghamshire by Noel Harrower, features both Owthorpe and the family. The manor house, which burned to the ground in the 1820s, was where they lived. It was demolished in the early 19th century, but the fish ponds and the surrounding trees are still visible in the field to the north of St Margaret's Church. Owthorpe may not have a grand hall anymore, but it does have a village hall. Here that is. This is a surprisingly large building. It can accommodate 102 people, which is room enough for the entire population of the village, and then some. Obviously the locals plan events with lots of friends. Yes, it's definitely not top of the list when it comes to landmarks, is Owthorpe, because there aren't very many. You've got the village hall and pretty much nothing else apart from the church, which is down this little track here. Let's head towards that. To the church then now. It's dedicated to St Margaret of Antioch, who was once considered a patron saint of pregnancy. This has a history that includes many notable features and changes over the centuries. It's set within some farmland, surrounded by a low wall and next to the site of the former manor house. It's only accessible via a narrow grass track, which is often muddy in the winter. It's built around the north wall of a former 14th century church, with some features dating back to the 12th century. It's been rebuilt a couple of times, notably in 1659 when Colonel John Hutchinson replaced a larger church with a much smaller version. Internal features here include a Jacobean pulpit, a 15th century font, a wooden screen, and a clock built in 1680. There are marble monuments to members of the Hutchinson family, including a vault where Colonel John Hutchinson is now buried. The vault is now sealed off, but it's known it has some 17 coffins within it. Okay, in order to make it a circular walk around Owthorpe, we need to take this footpath which runs across the field you can see behind me. A very lumpy and bumpy field, I have to say. I wonder whether some of these are earthworks, maybe related to the Hutchinson's manor house. Who knows? Who knows? Yes, so we're going to follow the path across this field, dodging the cows, because there are some cows in this field. So it goes to the main road, which we crossed on the way in, and then we'll take a right turn and just basically form a nice neat little circuit. Okay, we've pretty much made it all the way around Owthorpe. Not much to see, is there? It's a very small speck on the map. There is one more thing that I would like to mention before we leave this one behind, and that's something called the Sawmill. Let's get in the car and have a look at it. We've one final task before we leave Owthorpe behind. We're driving away from the village towards Cotgrave here, and in doing so we pass the sawmill. Now, I tried for ages to find some potential history surrounding a possible sawmill in Owthorpe, but my efforts yielded nothing. I can only surmise, therefore, that this building is literally just called the Sawmill and there was no actual industrial activity here. Usually names give you clues, but not on this occasion. In any event, the sawmill isn't cutting up wood these days. Today, part of it is a bridal shop owned by Charlotte Swan. Okay, with this one, we've gone a full week in Rushcliffe, but we're not done yet. Next week, we're staying in the district and we're about to head south towards the Leicestershire border. See you tomorrow for more. Now, Now, just before I go, remember, this video is part of a huge project to visit every civil parish in England. That's more than 10,000. These routes are pre-planned, and due to time constraints, I can't cover every detail or walk down every street. Please don't complain if this video missed something out. I pronounce names how I choose to. I am very aware that local dialect may vary, and I don't take kindly to criticism about this. You've been warned. It's impossible to know everything too. If this video was terrible, make your own. If you're a regular watcher of The Village Idiot, you're not the only one. If you've got a small business, why not use my videos to advertise it? Leave a comment below if you're interested. And finally, thanks for watching this episode, everybody. Give us a like and a subscribe if you've enjoyed this episode, and share it with your friends and relatives. It all helps to keep this mission going. Until next time, I've been Andy, also known as The Village Idiot, and I'm out.